the federal government has finalized its public charge rule. We're going to spend a couple minutes looking at some of those benefits that could be considered a negative factor for someone seeking more permanent status. Now, we have other videos that go into more depth on this public charge final rule, and we link to that in the description below. But let's just refresh our memory of what it is we're talking about, and then we'll take a closer look at some of those benefits that are listed. This is the final rule out of the Department of Homeland Security, inadmissibility on public charge grounds, finalized in August of 2019 and going into effect October 15th of 2019. This rule changes the definition of public charge. It describes what could be used as a negative factor for someone seeking a more permanent status. When you're going through your admissibility interview, what factors will help you when seeking permanent status? What factors will hurt you? Now, generally, it was just cash benefits that could be used against a person seeking more permanent status. This rule broadens that definition and now includes more benefits in the areas of housing and food security and medical assistance. So here are some of the benefits that could be considered a negative factor. Any federal, state, local, or tribal assistance program where you are getting income maintenance, so it's a lot of cash benefits, supplemental security income, SSI, TANF, which is the Temporary Assistance for Needy Family Programs, and Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's food stamps, that's food share or food assistance for families that can be used against you if you're seeking more permanent status. Also could be used against you are a broad range of housing assistance programs, largely Section 8 and Section 9 of the Federal Housing Act. Also, and this is the big one, Medicaid. If you are receiving Medicaid, that can be used against you if you seek more permanent status. Now, there are exceptions, and let's look through those. Let's start with a couple programs and end with a more detailed description of Medicaid. But if you are getting disaster relief, National School Lunch Program, foster care and adoption assistance, other forms of energy assistance, that cannot be used as a negative factor. So the benefits excluded from the public charge considerations are those we have listed on the screen next to us. But there's nuance to that. Look, it says food pantries and homeless shelters can't be used against you, but Section 8 housing and food stamps can. So this is where confusion starts to enter in, where families using public benefits or other community supports aren't sure if it counts or not. Also not counted, the Children's Health Insurance Program, Medicare Part D, that's your prescription drug assistance if you're a senior, or the Women, Infant, and Children Program. If you participate in that program, that cannot be a negative factor when you're trying to seek more permanent status. Let's talk a little bit more about Medicaid. Medicaid is specifically listed in this final rule as being a negative factor, but there are exceptions. Medicaid for the treatment of an emergency medical condition is one of those exceptions that will not be used against you. If you are a child under age 21, using Medicaid will not be used against you. Similarly, if you are a pregnant woman or 60 days postpartum, that will not be used against you. There are other services under the IDEA Act, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and some school-based services or benefits that are paid for by Medicaid that also will not be used against you. Now, there is some clarification in this final rule that it is the individual public benefit user herself who is being evaluated. So if you are a parent and you have children using public benefits, but those children are U.S. citizens, for example, that should not impact the immigrant herself. So we're looking just at the person who uses the public benefits in this admissibility interview. Now, like we said, the impact could be much broader because of those nuances. How is an individual supposed to know if they go to an immunization clinic? Will that be used against you? If you go to a food pantry, can that be used against you? If you get food stamps, can that be used against you? Because this is pretty jumbled with this list and some things count and some things don't, some people have already stopped using community supports, community resources, and public benefits. So that chill factor we're already seeing. If you have questions about what counts or what doesn't, or if your status itself is going to be impacted, if you need to go through an admissibility interview, you should consult an immigration expert or attorney. You don't want to jump to a conclusion based on some of these bullet points and say, oh, I get food assistance, therefore, does that impact my application for a green card? You're going to want to consult with an attorney. And in the description below, we link to the National Immigration Legal Service Directory, so you can find a couple resources closer to you of where to go for help. Now, here's where things stand right now. This new rule goes into effect October 15th. There have been lawsuits filed that challenge the constitutionality of this rule on Fifth Amendment equal protection guarantees. If any of these lawsuits are successful before October 15th, it may block the rule from going into effect. We will certainly keep you posted. But in the meantime, take a little time to read through some of the materials that the U.S. Immigration Service and Homeland Security have put out, and a couple other resources from immigrants' rights groups that help you learn your rights and responsibilities so you can be a little bit more familiar with your own situation. We link to the rule in the description below and some frequently asked questions through the USCIS that might be helpful in that determination. And like we said, we will be keeping you posted as we learn more and as some of these lawsuits work their way through the courts. So subscribe to stay up to date.